Hey there. So this is the last online discussion for the third quarter for English for academic and professional purposes. I'll just make this very quick. So this is all about writing a critic or a review. So I know most of you are not so familiar with this one, but I'll try my best to let you understand how to write a critic or a review. By um, defining what is a critic or review first. So if you say critic or review, that's a careful analysis of an argument to determine what is said, how well the points are made, what assumptions underlie the argument, what issues are overlooked, and what implications are drawn from such observations. So it is a systematic yet personal response and evaluation of what you read. So in short, that's a careful evaluation, a careful judgment of a text or any kinds of academic writing. Okay? So, mo po na if chismis, right? If na maabot ng bagong storya sa ato. So, how are we going to know that that kind of story is reliable or tinuod na siya? Of course, we will ask questions. What else? Atong i-evaluate ang background sa kana nga nagstorya, right? So that's how we critic or we give a review. Okay, the same goes with critiquing or giving a review to any kinds of text or academic writing. Okay, so for the organization, so first thing that you have to do is to introduce the subject of your critic. Let's say, for example, what's the title of the story? What's the title of the text? Okay. Then after that, you have to review the background facts or issues that must be understood before the point of reading can be appreciated. So here is the author's background too. Okay, you have to review everything or even the story's overviews or summary or synopsis. Let's say, for example, you want to watch a movie, okay? But before watching, you read the synopsis. You read the synopsis first, okay? And then you also read the comments of those who have already watched the movie before you watch, okay? So that's how you review background facts. And then review the assumptions in the reading that must be understood before you take a position. So a little bit the same with number two. And then four, make your position statement clear. So this is the time that you will give your own judgment. You will give your own evaluation and analysis. What is your evaluation? What are your bases in giving this or making this? Okay. And review the author's ideas in light of the position you identified and elaborate on each point that relates to your central position. So you have to analyze the author's tone in the story, the author's ideas in the story. How? By checking his or her background also. Okay? What's the reason behind ganun nagsuwat ang author ani? Maybe this one is related to his life. Maybe this one is really personal. Or maybe this one is about a friend, his or her friend or family, like that. And then lastly, you have to state your conclusion. Okay? Stating the conclusion is also giving judgment, but overall judgment na siya. Okay? So that's the organization of making a critic. I know it's still confused, but I will give you an example later on. Okay? So steps needs to be taken to write an article critic. So before you start writing, you have to choose an article that meets the criteria outlined by your teacher, of course. You have to read the article also to get an understanding of the main idea. And then read the article again with a critical eye. Okay? So I know it's very usual na in our first reading, dili jud ta makasabot, right? So it also happens to me. So I will understand the text or the story after I read it twice or even thrice. Okay. And then for letter B, as you read, take note of the following. So let's just discuss the first one. What are the credentials of the authors? Is the author qualified to write about the topic? Let's say, for example, you have found out that the author is a scientist and then the story is about literature. Do you think he is qualified to write about the topic? Right? Do you think that the ideas or the information that he gave is true or not? given that he is a scientist like that, and then the text is literature, or let's just say the author is a well-known writer, but the text is all about science. Okay, let's flip the script. Will you believe on that one? Right? So it should be aligned and fit. And then we have here an article critic has four main parts or structure. So we have the introduction, we have summary, we have critic, and we have conclusion. Okay, what are those part of introduction? So unsa may isuwat sa introduction? Of course, the article you're critiquing, including the title, the background of the author, and the publication year. Okay? For the summary, you will provide a concise overview of the text or story without offering any judgment or analysis in this section. Again, without offering any judgment or analysis in this section. So this is purely an overview. This is purely a summary only. And take note, your own words. You have to paraphrase, of course, naman may basahon, right? So usually baya sa inyo ha, is kuhaon rin nyo kung unsay naa sa text, verbatim, like word by word, inyo rang i-paste dito. No. Since it's a summary, so mubo na lang siya. But you have to paraphrase it and write it in your own words. But in this time, there's no judgment yet. Excuse me, wala pa'y analysis sa kaning section. It's purely summary only. Okay? And then for the critic, excuse me, here is the evaluation. So you will evaluate the article's strengths and even some weaknesses niya. You can also give suggestions if you want, actually. You will analyze the quality. Is the story really good? Is the story a little bit bad, like that? Discuss how well the author gives or achieves their purpose in writing. Like you can say the author is really, really good in making this story because, like that. Okay. And the last is conclusion. So you will summarize your overall assessment of the article. Okay. So that's the organization or the structure. There are four parts. So we have introduction, summary, critic, and conclusion. Now, for the example, I already sent you in your GC the story, the video of the paper man. So I am expecting that you already watched this and understood this, but I will still give you a very, very short summary of this one. Okay, so this is a story about an office worker who happened to meet a girl in the train station, and then napalid ang mga papers because of the strong wind, and then there is a one paper na naadto sa iyang face, right? And it was marked with lipstick. And then, after some time, then I found out sa boy nga the girl, or nakakita ang boy, and the girl is just across the building. And then he's finding ways how to get the attention of the girl. And then he made a lot of fleets of paper planes, but wala siya nag-succeed. So because of that, the destiny or fate make their way, okay, or makes their way. And then they meet again, or they meet one more time in the train station. That ends the story. Okay, but if you want to read, I have here the story of The Paperman by Sebastian Evident. And don't worry, I will also send this in our GC for your reference. Okay, now for the movie review or for the story review. So this is an example of the movie review or story review of The Paperman. So as you can see, oh, don't copy this. This is just an example. As you can see in the first paragraph, this is the introduction, right? So basically, the reviewer only describe or only gave the title of the story, which is The Paperman. Okay, Paperman is black and white Disney classic that although lacks the color variants of its Disney contemporaries during its time, does an exemplary job of retelling an all familiar story of a boy meets a girl. So see, nag-describe siya, nag-introduce siya sa story itself. But you can also add the author's background here, actually. But okay said if wala, but better if not. Okay? And then in the second paragraph, nag-start ang summary. Again, summary is just short, but here a little bit long, but it's okay. So it's a wordless love story of an office worker and the woman of his dreams. So as you can see in the summary, the reviewer chose the third person point of view. If you know that, he, she, and it ragid na ang gamiton. Why? Because the reviewer is not part of the story. Okay, and then you are just merely describing or merely giving a summary of the paper man. Okay, until nahuman ang story, a showcase of destiny and the animator skills, the paper planes magically lead the two strangers together into a fated reunion. Okay, so again, summary, you have to paraphrase what you will read in the story and make your own. Okay, but of course, dili na mulayo sa story ha, basing magama-gama mong inyo ha. So, that's not reliable anymore. Okay, so take note of that. And then after summary, here comes the critic or the review itself. So here in the critic, of course, this is your evaluation, your judgment, and your analysis of the story. So ganing mga part ato. So of course, you will describe the quality in your own words about it. You will give the strength and weaknesses of the story itself. You will also rate the author, right? How well he or she made the story or made this movie. See, for example, Paperman is a lovely short story. Its defining element is its color scheme, which is black and white, with only exception being the girl's lipstick, which adds contrast to the monochrome theme, right? Because ang lipstick is the only color nga very vivid or claro, and others are actually black and white. See, it's a very small detail, pero the reviewers still include this one in the critic. Okay, what else? The soundtrack was also reviewed by the reviewer, and the theme is relatable but cliche. But even if this was cliche, the method in which the boy meets a girl, love at first sight story was shown was different and new. So it's very unusual, right? Dili lang pareha sa anong uban very basic. Pero kani is a little bit unique. So the movie was brief and concise. Disney really hit the Goldilocks zone with the duration of this one because of it was shorter or longer. So sakto-sakto lang. And then it would have been worse. So kudos to Disney for that. Kudos means congratulations. Okay, so that's how you give a review or critic to a story. Anyways, that's your own mind, your own idea, your own judgment, your own evaluation for that story. And then for the conclusion, all in all, so this is very obvious that this is part of conclusion because of the single words. So Paper Man is a great film. And here you can still give your analysis or your evaluation, but only the overall. Okay, and then in the last part, as you can see, the reviewer gave a rate, which is 9/10. Okay, so this is an example of a critic or a review of the story The Paperman by Evidenti. Okay, so you will also make your own, but the same story para dili na maglisod. So because kitagaan naman mong summary or overview, and then you can also watch the video again. And then you can also read, for those dili ganahan mo tanaw, you can also read the story. I will send this after. Okay, so in your activity, for a while. So in your activity, you have to read the story about The Paperman by Sebastian Evidenti, and you may also watch a short video on it for better comprehension. So you have to make a review critic of the story following a structure. So I need to see this four structure. Dili ni sila pwede magbali-bali, okay? Because if magbali-bali siya, then it's not chronological, or it's not in order anymore. So it's very hard to understand. That's why it is structure. So structure, then there is first, second, third, and last. So introduction, summary, critic, and conclusion. I need to see or I need to read these four parts. Okay, so thank you so much. So if you have questions though, then you can send me a private message, even for other activities or other video discussions that I have sent. So you can ask me questions after this. Thank you and have a great day. Bye.